There we go. Okay. Um, so major thing this week is core CPI is on Thursday, I believe. Let me see. Or wait, hold on. The 11th is, yeah, okay, so I was right? So core CPI is on Thursday, right? So that is, going to be a pretty big day. Obviously, it could dictate what the market's going to do that day and then also um, Friday and probably lead out to the rest of the month. Now, I don't know how much weight to carry to this, but Rose had posted something on Friday about the non-farm payroll, about how that day ends pretty much kind of for the majority of the time. That pretty much dictates how the month is gonna roll out, or how the month is gonna finish as well too. We ended we ended pretty bearish, right? On Friday. I think we had a little push up towards the end, but for the most part, the whole thing was bearish, right? Shooter vibes all around. So that's just something to pay attention to. Thank you, Q, for the Thursday, CPI Thursday, PPI Friday, right? So keep in mind, PPI is more what the Fed takes into consideration, right? But yeah, now because we've been adding more jobs, Um, I would venture to say that the Feds are probably not going to do rate cuts in March. Um, we'll see what June looks like, but probably not going to do any rate cuts in March. But either way, pay attention to the charts, right? The catalyst is what supports the chart, in my opinion. I mean, every now and then you'll have a catalyst.
Actually, bro,
Huh?
we didn't add jobs. They manipulated that data, so we lost jobs. So, but my opinion, they're manipulating that shit to look good for Biden. You
Well,
know,
that's what I was getting into, right? Keep in mind the catalyst in the news are what support the chart. So if they want things like, for example, right, we at the top of the range for a lot of sectors, right? So what are they going to do to try? What are banks going to do to try to get that price to get driven down a little bit? Obviously, that's where those catalysts come in. I was talking about it with my soccer group. Like, I use COVID as an example, right? Um, COVID hits, what do? We drop, right? Y'all don't know how many times did after COVID hit and then we opened back up and everything. How many times was COVID brought back up again over in China and some other countries? Oh, we got a new strain. Nothing happened to the market, right? Market still kept doing it like normal. So, that should tell you right there. Um, it's really about catalysts, right? They just need the catalyst to make, like, if they wanted to go short, they just need to put a catalyst out there. That's it. And that's gonna basically drive the rest of it, right? So anyway, I mean, we could talk about that for days, but um, you know, just keep in mind core CPI, PPI, core CPI Thursday, PPI Friday. So end of week is going to be pretty important. Now, with that being said, probably going to be more of a day trade environment this week because there's a lot of volatility that's going to come out. Right, a lot of volatility that happened throughout the week as well too. Right. With that being said, if we do get into something and it's doing well, we may swing it into the next day. Right, just full on being straight up honest. If it's doing well, I may recommend that I'm swinging it into the next day, and you do what you will. And
look
I'm
here,
saying that
y'all
regardless.
that's on this call.
Huh?
I'm not swinging. I'm saying everybody on this call. I'm not swinging a goddamn thing. I'm day trading everything. And reason why I'm this way is because I've noticed over the past few weeks, the market has just been doing what it's been wanting to do. It hasn't been going with some of the setups. The shit a gap up for no reason. It'll gap down for no reason. So that tells me the market isn't fully directional. Although the charts can be bullish or the charts can be bearish, it hasn't been acting that way. So I'm, especially with this data shit, and normally what I do is whatever is on the chart, that's the way I go. But that hasn't been the way the market has been going for whatever reason. The market, in my opinion, and I'm gonna say in my opinion, no one else is very manipulated right now.
So Sal, a big thing too is that it's the beginning of the year. So like you said, it hasn't picked a direction. So we pretty much in consolidation right now. That's why it ain't no great time to be, swinging stuff right now.
Yeah, I agree. Except for some of them, I tell you what though, I'm very bullish on some of them XLV ticklers. Them bitches gonna go ballistic.
Yep.
So that's the only tickers I'm gonna swing. I'll say that. And those can handle the 30% drawdowns and shit like that, because it'll just go right back up. But other than that, I'm not swinging nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
That's usually where
the
the
reason
money
why I
goes.
say the swinging thing, XLV was one of them, but then also, excuse me, um, for example, jets, right? So I know what happened with Boeing. I know what's happened with Boeing. Either way, whichever way that goes, it's gonna present an opportunity. Because for me, when I'm looking at jets, that's exactly what I'm looking at. Are we gonna get the bounce up, right? Because obviously, we had on the weekly, if we zoom in here, excuse me, sorry, on the weekly, let me get rid of these. What we had here was obviously, the retracement, right? And then bounced off of a fair value gap. Doesn't guarantee that we're going to get that bounce back to the upside, right? Also on the day we're running up. So there's a good opportunity either way it goes, right? Either this could be a retracement and a bounce back to the upside, or it can be the beginning of a reversal to the downside, in which case, if you draw the fibs on the weekly, there's some room for this to drop from a puts perspective. So if the market is looking rather bearish, the whole market is looking bearish, the sector is looking bearish, and we're in puts, that's why I'm saying that I may recommend swinging it into the next day. On the flip side, if the market is bullish, but let's say this is bearish and we get into something bearish, I may still say, you know what, just take your money and get out. Or I may recommend getting multiple contracts and just leaving those runners, and it is what it is, whatever happens after that. All right. Um, Now, with the exception of what happened with BA, um, I mean, that could drive all airlines down, just giving you all a heads up on that. So that's definitely something to look out for. First thing that I'm going to talk about, I'm coming back to MRK. But the reason why we didn't get into it last week, let me actually, there we go. So the reason why we didn't get into it last week is because it ran up. It just immediately, it took off and didn't stop. There was no opportunity. Um, there wasn't really an opportunity. I mean, we had actually not even like there, that probably would have been the opportunity there. By that time, it had already moved up $5 because I think when we started looking at it, was back down here when it was at 109. So by that time, it had already moved. So I was like, you know what? Let me just let it go, let it ride out. Right now on the 65, it's currently consolidating. So there's definitely room for it to move up. It is my belief that coming back to the daily, damn, sorry. It is my belief, actually, sorry. All right, let's rewind. Um, go back to the strat principles. Start from the larger time frames, and we'll work our way in. On the quarter, we've already taken the quarter up, right? We've taken a quarter up, taken out another target. So based on on the larger time frames, it's my belief that we're going to seek out the liquidity up above, right? In other words, that's all-time highs. So we need to get above 119.65. So I'm most likely going to alert the 120 call for this week. With the ATR that it has, it can do it by this week. We do actually have a full week, not a shortened week anymore. So with the way the healthcare sector is looking, I'm pretty sure those who were in Biker's video, he probably covered that. Um, with the way that's looking, and then also MRK and also being so close to all-time highs, really good chance that we hit all-time highs and then some, seeking out that liquidity before we potentially reverse, right? And as you can see from the broad information, the blue line is the weekly, the white is the monthly. Lot of space, right? A lot of space for it to go before we hit a top of anything. So potentially this could run up to 120, 122, maybe even 125, depending on, how much the Bulls want to take this thing up. Okay. Not really much more to say about it, right? As far as targets go, the next target is really the 119.65. All targets, if we come into the daily, actually, let me get rid of, there we go. Obviously, this is just in case anybody's confused. All candles are white, green borders and green wick means it's up, red means it's bearish, just so you know. But we currently have an actionable signal strat-wise, right? So first target is going to be daily entry 117.45, right? If we head to the downside, although I mean, honestly, if we head to the downside, I'm probably not going to alert it. If anything, it will probably be a pullback before heading back up further. Again, full-time burn continuity is bullish, and then also so is the sector as well too. So we take that out. Next target on the daily is going to be up here at the top, 117.65. That's because of the close proximity, 20 cents. That's the reason I really didn't alert that as the next target. Instead, actually, sorry, move you up, move you up. There you go. Hold up 1 second. There we go. Better. Okay. So next would be the 118.55. Hold on 1 second. All right, cool. So next would be the 118.55. Now, as you can see, there's definitely going to be, it's a double top right there. So there's going to be some resistance there. It is of my opinion, I'll be very clear on saying that, it is of my opinion, the Bulls are going to push through that. Again, like I said, I think that we're going to see all-time highs before we start to see a pullback, considering price is so close. But you still want to be aware of that double top at the 118.63. So if I do alert the one, hold on 1 second. All right, so if I do alert the 118, I'm sorry, the 120 call, and you see it hitting that 118 and having a little bit of struggling getting past that, you need to be aware of that. So if you see it start to reverse off of that, that's probably where you should take your profit. And then if it does reverse right back to the upside, so in other words, if it does something like this, hits and then comes back, right? Either comes back here or either comes back to entry and bounces up, right? You got another entry right there. That'll be another potential entry right there to take it up even higher. So just be aware of that. So again, I'm thinking price could essentially do one or two things. Come on now. Price could do one or two things, either that or just gone like what it did this past week, or if the Bears somehow step up, you could see that and then that, right? But again, I'm thinking everything full-time frame continuity is completely bullish. So if you take your profit here if it does pull back, again, just keep in mind full-time frame continuity is bullish. So you're probably going to look for an opportunity on that pullback and a reversal to potentially grab the 120 call again and then let it ride up. All right. So not really much more else to say about MRK. We just gotta pray that it doesn't immediately take off, but we have an actionable signal on the day. Looking at the week, again, I mean, we're looking for a continuation as well. And then, like I said, the month and the quarter are looking rather, bullish. For the month, it's actually working on a TTO, right? And the TTO is once we go to all-time highs, right? So if you can't see it, first triangle, right? And then second triangle, right? So we TTO back to the upside once we take out that 119.65. All right, if there's any questions about that whatsoever. All right, so another one that I had, actually, so with the XLC sector, right? Again, what you could be seeing is a pullback and then a potential bounce. To me, it could go bearish though, because obviously full time frame continuity is showing bearishness. However, with Snap though, the reason why I'm showing you the sector because I want you to be aware, right? Because Snap is going completely against what the sector is doing. And honestly, we may potentially be seeing the power of three on Snap. Um, Still confirming. Obviously, when it starts to push up, that's when we'll get our confirmation. But when you look at when you look at Snap, first off from the quarter, we're coming from the lows, right? We seem to have found ourselves a bottom, right? So we basically hit relative equal lows down here. Um, Bouncing off the broadening formation, and we went 2-2 up. Right now with the new quarter, we're currently inside, but actually we need to get above 1790 to take that quarter up, right? To go 2-2 continuation. But full time frame continuity again is looking, bullish. The month is currently bullish as well too, even though it's inside. So we're looking for that 2-2 continuation. Um, with the exception of this pullback on the weekly, let me zoom in. And actually I think it'd probably be better if I do it like that. There you go. So with what we're seeing here on the weekly is that, we bounce from the lows, we're running up. And what we're seeing is that this week, Snap had a pullback all the way back down to this second fair value gap and immediately invalidated off of that. And that's one of the things that ICT talks about, that how price may actually ignore the first fair value gap or the first order block to find the one that's lower and bounce off of that. So essentially, what Snap is setting up on the week is potentially a 1-2-2 rev strat. Again, we know that the market could potentially be bearish, but like what happened on Friday, right, is that it didn't immediately drop, right? What happened on Friday? We ran up a little bit actually before starting to drop. Everybody was expecting the drop to happen immediately. So with Snap, even though with XLC being bearish, Snap is showing full time frame continuity to the bullish side. We'll see what this new week brings because it is uncoupled. It's going to be uncoupled from the month, the quarter, and the year, right? So we already know what the different now that now that the daily has uncoupled, we know what that participation group is doing. Now we're looking to see this upcoming week what are the intermediate traders, the weekly traders doing? How are they going to respond? Are they going to go with the 2-2 up, or are we going to continue pushing down? So I'm going to alert obviously both ways. But there's actually a legitimate argument, for the bullish side, bouncing off the fair value gap on the month and then also on the weekly. And from a strat perspective, we did take out the lows, right? So, we do have a broadened information there. with some room, damn, excuse me, with some room to the upside as well too, right? So on the daily, that's our broad information. And the reason why I say I think we're seeing the power of three, because if you take this candle and drag it all the way over here, what has price been doing all of those candles? It's been consolidating, right? First move in the power of three is, excuse me, accumulating. First move and first stage, excuse me, in the power of three is accumulation, right? Then first move is the manipulation, right? Damn it, my bad. So the first move is the manipulation. What does the manipulation normally do? To whichever side it goes, it's going to take out the previous low, right? That will entice the shorts, in this case, the shorts to come in and, jump in and start, entering their orders, right? Only for it to distribute back to the upside, right? Forcing those shorts to sell, adding to the buying pressure. And that's usually when you see that distribution, you usually see that shit just start to take off. As a matter of fact, MRK, I think it has a good example of doing that as well too, if I'm not mistaken. Right. So I believe that's what we're seeing on the daily, the power of three. And this week and the weekly will confirm that, because essentially the power of three is really just a ref strat, right? It's just a inside ref strat, right? Um, you start off with the accumulation, which is consolidation, right? Your inside candle, and then the ref strat can either can be the second stage of it, can either be a two down followed by a two up, or it could be a two up followed by a two down. So um, the week will definitely confirm if the power of three is in it. But if we do trigger to the upside, I'm probably going to target the 17 call, keep it tight. And yeah, we get 40, 50, 60% off of that. Actually, I'm even going to drop it down to 30. If we get about 30% off of that, then we're just going to close out and be fine. If it continues to run, it is what it is. Let me stop if there's any questions. Nope. All right, so just put that in the chat. So a couple things. Snap and MRK definitely. All right, so I do agree with Biker and Sal regarding XLV. I do think that it's still going to continue bullish. I'm actually hoping, damn it, I'm actually hoping for a pullback so that that makes the calls a little bit cheaper. Just a retracement, not a like a full blown reversal and everything. Not for the compounding group, but I do have my eyes on Lily as well. I think we can see, potentially 630, 635 this week. For those of you who have your other port, that's not a part of the compounding. So just throwing that out there. All right. Now, if the market does go entirely, bearish, I think this ticker is going to serve us very well. CLX, right? So just let's start off on the quarter. So so far in the quarter, we ended last quarter as a two down bull candle. This quarter couldn't take out the highs of the previous quarter so far. I know we're only in our second week of January, but so far we're working on an inside shooter. Candle's not closed just yet, but we're working on an inside shooter. Looking at the monthly, again, so after we went 3-2 up, we're potentially working on a 3-2-2 rep strat back to the downside. We would need to take out this low right here, which is also a weekly price target. It would be 138. I'm sorry, a monthly. That would be the monthly put entry. 138.70. Actually, it's both a weekly price target and a monthly put entry. It'll be 138.76. So if we take out the 138.76, then we go 3-2-2 rev strat on it. Looking at the week, again, the biggest thing for me about the week is, let me get rid of this and highlight it this way. Let's go here. Damn it. Okay, there we go. So we go here. Yep, better. And stretch you there. So intoxicated. That's not there. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. Okay. So one thing I want to highlight, actually, let me take away. Should have just done that first. There we go. All right. So one area I'm also paying attention to is like you see where price continues to have problems pushing up into as well. All right. So we're seeing a little bit of accumulation here, but I'm also paying attention to that every time prices pretty much got up to this fair value gap or close to it, the structure break in fair value gap because the reason why it's a structure break in fair value gap is because it broke to the downside over here, taking out this low, right? So that's a structure break in fair value gap. This candle right here is a fair value gap because it's between here, right? It's an imbalance, taking out this low. So that's a break of structure to the downside. And every time prices tried to come back into that fair value gap, it has failed. So gives me, more bias towards the bear side of it. Not to mention we finished last week with the shooter vibes, a 2-up shooter. So this sets us up for a 1-2-2 rev strat back to the downside. If that does happen, then we're looking to take out the 138.76 target, which will also give us the month down as well too. Also, this would be a break of structure after this run up here, right? Created this low. So if we take that out, we're breaking structure to the downside, heading back into this fair value gap and potentially this one as well too. So with Clorox, I'm probably going to keep it very tight and probably say if we do trigger to the downside, the weekly trigger and also the daily trigger are one and the same. So if we trigger to the downside, I'm probably going to go for the 140 put. Again, since we're doing weeklies, we're going to keep it tight, close to the strike price, and then go
Hey,
for it.
Tensho,
Yes.
bro, did you look at Meta Weekly?
Yeah, there's a hammer on Meta. That's also the reason
Yeah,
why I'm thinking bullish on Snap.
yeah. I got you. I got you. My bad.
Yeah. No, no, you're good. You're good. Strat Soldier had put it out on Twitter, and I said, "Peep Snap too," and he's like, "Oh shit, hammer on." Yeah. So like they don't always run together, just for those who don't really trade Snap and Meta. But usually, if Meta's running a certain way, Snap is probably going to run that way too. So if you see Meta's up, and let's say maybe you can't afford a Meta contract, then maybe look at Snap and see if it's doing the same thing. On the daily, we do have a Nirvana. So what we're looking for is a 132 to the downside. So again, if we do trigger, I'm looking to take the 140 put, keeping it really tight. It does have an ATR 255, so it can move. If we do take it down low, then we're looking to take out that low right there because then that's also going to be a break of structure on the daily to the downside. So if we get lucky enough, we can, hopefully get a fair value gap that breaks that structure. Um, Actually, what I'm really looking for is an order block stacked with the fair value gap. So that shows bearish momentum, and then we can break that structure and then, maybe ride it out down to 138.76. But yes, Meta having the hammer on the weekly is also the reason why. What I normally do, just as a, if you guys don't do it, especially for you newbies, it's always good to know which tickers kind of feed off the other or like are kind of somewhat dependent on the other. Um, so like if Meta's running, probably Snap is probably running as well too. If you see, for example, like if Coin is running, Riot's probably running, Mara's probably running, you know what I mean? Bitcoin, same thing, right? You know what I mean? Those are kind of in the same sectors. So if they're running off of each other, then yeah, they're probably gonna the other ticket's probably gonna run as well too. I can't really say AMD and Nvidia because sometimes I've seen like they just do what the fuck they want. Like I've seen Nvidia run and AMD's not doing shit. On the flip side, I see AMD run and Nvidia's not doing shit. So yeah, I can't really say that. Also, another thing from a strat perspective, if you do draw your broad information, you see there's a lot of room. There's definitely some room to the downside, right? And yeah, if we get that bearish breaker structure, it's definitely going to reinforce the bearishness, because since this pivot here, we've been making higher lows, right? So, excuse me, if we can, get a break of structure to the downside, start making lower lows again, I think we can really see. My theory is that we're gonna, if we do drop, we drop all the way back down to this rejection order block, down to 137. Again, the reason why I say that, if I see something that looks good, like really good, I may say just swing it into the next day. But obviously, again, there's factors I'm going to consider, how the market itself is playing. Like if the market's bullish and this is bearish, I may still say, you know what, just take your profit. But if the market's bullish, if the market is bearish, if XLP is bearish and so is this, yeah, I'm probably going to say, yeah, go ahead and swing it into the next day. We'll probably cut it the following day. We're not going to swing the shit out for weeks. Just, giving you a heads up. So that's another thing, Snap, MRK, and then CLX. I'm going to type out tonight and put out the specific contract, but keep in mind, based on how price is moving, that contract could change. And I will do my best to alert you and enter like within seconds of each other. All right, because I know that can mess up people's entries as far as how much they're putting in on the contract as well too. Okay. Now I did have another, but I'm gonna add a caveat to it, because we don't really know how it's gonna react to the BA news. Now I've seen BA pull airlines down, but I've also seen some airlines, still do okay no matter what. So I can always rechart this out. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this just so you guys can kind of see. So as far as the quarter goes, um, as you can see, like even with drops, where potentially we have a potential to reverse, right? It did drop in the last quarter, but obviously the bull stepped up, started buying up. We have since this pivot over here, we're still making higher lows, right? We didn't have a break of structure to the downside over here. We did actually break structure to the upside over here, but obviously the bear stepped in and kind of took that shit back. So we'll see what we can do here. We are working on potentially a 2-2 reversal back to the upside. If we do, we're looking for price to, continue pushing up on the monthly. Again, same thing, right? I know it's the first week of the month so far. We had a pullback earlier, and then yeah, the bulls stepped in. Currently inside hammer on the month, but yeah, if the bulls can continue stepping up, then yeah, we can potentially see a 2-2 reversal to the upside. This is not a PMG setup to the downside. To the upside, because these are only 4 candles, right? Again, the PMG rules are that you need 5 or more in consecutive order. So if you're thinking this may be a PMG to the upside, it's not. It's only 4 candles in a row. Now, with that being said, there are, you do have this fair value gap that price has to push up through. So what I would tell you to do is draw the 50 fib here and see, because that could be a potential area of a reversal. It could bounce back down off of that. So that's something that you do want to be aware of. Coming into the weekly, when you look at the weekly, though, since that pivot that I talked about on the month, we've been running up, and what you're seeing here is the retracement. So I think so basically we approached the 0.5 fib, approaching equilibrium, and then obviously hammered off of that. So one of the reasons why this showed up on my scan is that it's a potential. My scans, when I look at I look for potential rev strats, but I try to get the scanner. TOS is not perfect, but I try to get it to look for, in the second candle, I try to get it to look for either a shooter or a hammer in the second candle. So after the inside, we had a hammer, and that's why it showed up on my scan for the potential 122 rev strat to the upside, right? Now, again, because of the news with Boeing, you want to be, oh, sorry, hold up. I actually didn't know that for PMGs. Oh, yeah. Because, not this mentee, but I had somebody that I was mentoring in the strat a long time ago, and he kept saying like, "Oh, we got a PMG to the upside," like texting me, and I would look at him like, "Where's the PMG that you're talking about?" He was like, "Look," and I was like, "No, that's only four. It needs to be five." I don't know how much the stratters bend that rule, but for me, the way I was taught, and every strat guru, furu, if you will, that's talked about pivot machine guns, has always said five or more consecutive. So anytime I see four, I'm like, shit, that's close, but I can't really count it. Now, does that mean that price is not going to like try to run up and close out those targets? No, because from an ICT standpoint, all that is a liquidity void that needs to be balanced out at some point anyway. So yeah, like all of this right here, right? This is all a liquidity void, right? So all of this eventually needs to get balanced out. Now, I'm not saying price is going to run up and like kill everything all at once, but eventually, yeah, at some point you'll see that United Airlines is back up at $60 a share. All right, so with the BA news, here's what could happen. All right. So I'm just going to do it from a weekly standpoint. This is what we've done so far, right? We've made a lower high. Now, what could happen is that we could pull back into OTE area, right? And then create that W back to the upside. All right. Now, if that does happen, I want you to pay attention to this area right here, 43.87. Okay. Because this then turns into a mitigation block. Okay. So what I mean by that is that price, now that it's made a higher high since this point, right? From here to here, it's a lower high, but once price crosses over it, now we've made a higher high. So once that happens, price, if it comes back to retest that same mitigation block, pay attention to that area because that could be the takeoff. And there would be an opportunity for calls to the upside. If you don't believe me, go look up the mitigation block theory that ICT puts out because I literally watched that shit 5 times this weekend. So whenever you see that, like that W or in the flip side, the M as well too, once, and let me just illustrate it, the M, sure, right? Right? So you pay attention to that area right there. Once we cross and make a lower low, if price comes back to that same exact area and then keeps heading lower, that would be an opportunity to go short. All right. Anyway, just I know we're supposed to be talking about stuff for the compounding, but I can't help but to teach what I learned from times. Is it me or is the volume low? You talking about my talking? Uh, is it low for everybody else?
You sound good to me.
Okay, all right, cool. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry then. Yeah, I'm sorry, Tyra. I guess maybe, I don't know, maybe try to, I don't know if you're on a computer or if you're on a phone, maybe just switch device. But yeah, anyway, back to UAL, right? So UAL with what's happening with Boeing, right? If it does head to the downside, right, just keep in mind that you have, come on now, you have a fair, the magnet. Let me just turn that shit off real quick. You have a fair value gap down here that it could potentially bounce off of before heading up higher. Or if it does head up higher, then one of the targets that we're looking for is up here, right? We're targeting, this would be considered internal range liquidity, right? Because it's inside of this range. But where is it? There we go, buy side look right there. So that's what we'd be targeting. So the entry would be here on the weekly. I'm going to get to the daily soon, but just showing you on the larger time frame in case it does keep pushing. If Jets ends up being bullish and the market on Monday somehow ends up being, I may still tell you I'll just take profit because I'm gonna keep it a stack. My bias right now is kind of, with the exception of XLV, my bias right now is more bearish than bullish. But I can't. I also listen to the charts too, so I can't really ignore what I'm seeing. So because we got a hammer on the weekly, so by strat standards, that sets us up for a push up to the upside. Again, don't really know how badly affecting the BA thing is going to take the rest of the airlines because technically it did happen to Alaska Airlines. However, I know that BA is grounding all of their new fleet. So I guess it would really depend on how the market feels and then also how many of those new jets for the other airlines are being used. But if we can push up and we can take out the 4387, that's a break of structure to the bullish side, so we can potentially see some good running there. We do have a fair value gap, but then also we do also have a volume imbalance over here as well too, which needs to be balanced out. So if we end up being bullish, it could run up to 45. Either with that being said, I'm probably going to target either the 42 or the 42.5 call for the weekly. Now, looking at the daily, so on the daily, what happened, right? We actually did have, I believe, yeah, so we did actually get price. We already had our retracement, right? Shout out to Biker teaching the fibs, but we already did have our retracement. And as a matter of fact, from an ICT standpoint, look at like this RJB stands for a rejection order block, right? So what did price do once it got into that rejection order block? It bounced right the hell off of it and kept pushing up, right? So now this is actually a PMG setup to the upside. So far price has taken out all targets up to about here. So we still have that target, and then we have on the daily internal buy side liquidity at 42.98. Hence the reason why I said if we do trigger the 4201 to the upside, I'm probably gonna target not the first target, but the second one on the daily, the 42.5. And yeah, if we get some bullishness to run up, where do I see potential for us to probably get stopped? Probably somewhere inside of this bearish order block from before. Again, if the bulls really want to take this up, and again, this was me charting this. I charted this before the BA news came out, so just throwing that out there. Now, if it does trigger to the downside, let me clean all this shit up real quick. Okay. If it does trigger to the downside, that would be your entry of there. Okay. I'm sorry. I thought somebody was texting me. Okay. So if we do trigger to the downside, the 40.28, I'm probably going to target the 40 puts to target the 39.40 because on the daily we also have we do have that rejection order block that I pointed out before. So maybe we break it, maybe we don't. That could just be another area because we also have this pivot right here as well too. And so with the pivots, you also have to think of them as take profit, right? Because you could have had a short that got up in here, right? They entered their shorts up here. So if price does get down here, this could be them taking their profits, which would obviously get rid of some of the selling pressure and allow for buying pressure. So you have to think about that, about some of these price targets that you mark out, that they may be take profit for others who have entered that trade earlier. or for the algos who've entered that trade early. That's probably the reason why, like, you see, well, it is a contributing reason to why you see, like, once a target gets taken out, all of a sudden price starts reversing and heading back in the other direction, right? That's the liquidity, the buy stops or sell stops, depending on which way, direction of the price is going. So anyway, if you're on a phone, turn your speaker on. Oh, okay. All right. Not for me. I was like, I'm on a computer though. Well, so just to, it wasn't going to be a very long video. I didn't really want to have like, multiple tickers out there. So I was just looking at, I wanted to come back to MRK. I wanted to show y'all Snap. I wanted to show y'all Clorox. I wanted to show y'all UAL. Now, with that being said, there are, a lot of other great setups out there. I did peep Airbnb, pretty good setup with that. Can't think of it. Oh, Meta, yes. I did like how Meta looked, but I did ultimately choose Snap over it simply because it was the cheaper contracts, just keeping it a stack. Doesn't mean that I don't think we shouldn't enter Meta. I was just looking at something that wouldn't, where we wouldn't have to go like too far out the money because we are trying to, risk appropriately as well too, so and I think with Meta, I think I was targeting, I think it was 353. Yeah, 353 or 355. So I knew that that was going to be probably expensive. I didn't even really look at the contract, but I knew it probably was going to be expensive. I'm just curious. Let me just take a look at it right now. Yeah, 355. Yeah, we couldn't even do that. So, um, yeah, that's it for me. If there's any tickers that y'all want to look at as kind of like a run through, we can certainly look at it. But those are the tickers that I'm gonna, and I'm also talking to you, admins, Biker, and Sal, if he's still on the call. Those are the four I kind of settled on. That would still be not small account friendly, but are compounding account friendly. Just to keep it a stack, I am currently at 414. With my portfolio, right? So again, we definitely had losses, right? But and that's the point of it, that we minimized them. We didn't really get killed or murdered on any loss and losing out on 50% of our portfolio or anything like that. So this week, no revenge trading. We're still going to keep to the same rules. I may extend out the stop loss to about 30%, but we're still looking to relatively risk only about 30. We might stretch it a little bit depending on the contract, but ultimately we're going to, stay with that 30. And yeah, if we see, 30, 40% in profit, we're just going to take it off the table and we'll just keep building up from there because eventually we will get caught up to where we're supposed to be. So I'm not really tripping about it. And like, I'm not freaking out like, oh, well, we got to make X this, $200 next week. No, I'm not going to do that at all because that's just nervous trading and that's going to kill us. All right. So, um, I didn't alert it for the compounding, but you also want to take a look at Pfizer. This one, I did enter into it, just keeping it a stack. I did enter into it on my the other port, the Robinhood port, not the compounding port. But I just want to point some things out, right? So what happened with Pfizer, right? We took out the lows. So from a strat perspective, what did we do? We created a broadening formation. I'm not going to draw at the top because price action is nowhere near the top right now. So it's kind of pointless, right? But I did want to point out that we did take out the lows and we exhausted off of that, right? How do we know that that potentially was going to happen? Because historically, did it there, 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 right? So we know, and we can pay attention to that whenever price gets down into this range of $25 and change, that's a good level of support. If I were you, I would mark that out for the long term, right? And don't erase that, so that if price for Pfizer at any given point, it could be a year from now, it could be 3 years from now, if price gets back down into that range and you see it start to bounce, cheat code, right? Think about it. Price got down into that $25 range over here. This was back on January of 2020. And I know this is heavily because of COVID, but look at what it did. $40 move, less than 40. Sorry, my math is a little off, but still moved up to 61, right? We got down here over here, right? And what did we move? From there, we moved all the way up to this high of 44. So a $20 move, right? From a contract perspective, that is fucking money. And we know Pfizer's cheap with the contract. So imagine jumping in down here at 26 and change and riding that shit up to 44 and change. All right. So remember, price has memory, and clearly memory is definitely remembering. The bulls are definitely remembering whenever price gets down here. Right. So in my opinion, the algos could be setting up, especially with this sector rotation into healthcare. Shout out to Rose who put the picture in tonight on Market Talk only. You can see the sector rotation that she put in, but the algos could be setting up, buying their longs here to let this thing ride up. And then again, from a strat perspective, what is price always doing with the broadening formation is it's constantly making lower lows and then higher highs. So eventually at some point with the algos, they're looking to take profit higher than 61.71. Obviously, that's not going to happen in a month. It's not going to happen in a quarter, but that's just something for you to think about in the long term. PFE looks real good, makes you think what, it's funny. It's funny. Yo, I wasn't thinking about it specifically with Pfizer Biker, but it's funny that you say. I was telling my soccer crew, I'm like, yo, money's floating into healthcare. And they were like, word, what's making it run? I'm like, I'm not sure yet, but I'm pretty sure in the next couple of months we're gonna see something come out, some major sickness or some illness. That's gonna scare the shit out of everybody. And then all of a sudden, you'll see healthcare really start to take off. So it's funny that you say that, yo. I like how we all have the same kind of paranoia with these catalysts, yo. But all right, switching over into the monthly, and I do implore you to check out the hybrids. I'm only not doing it because just the interest of time. But yes, when I do chart these things out myself, I'm definitely looking at the hybrid time frame. So please don't think because I'm not doing it this time that I am just not checking into them. All right, so now, with what we're looking at over here on the monthly, we did get that 2-2 reversal. We are currently not in force, but again, the month has just began. All right. It looks like we tried to take out this pivot over here, or excuse me, this low over here, which was a structure break to the downside, but we haven't been able, again, not currently in force. Now, argument for the bullish side is that we do have a massive, starting from this 2 up candle, all the way down to this 2 down candle, massive PMG upside setup, right? So I'm not gonna, draw it out, but every single one of these highs, every single one of these, right? They're all targets to take out, all right? And actually, on a very long term, now that I'm really I didn't really realize this, but on a very long term, we could be seeing like the power of 3 kind of, right? Obviously, we had the dips or whatever, but and then we have downside. So maybe we're about to distribute back up to the upside. Could be. We'll see. That's a little bit of a stretch, but either way, the point is from what you should know is that we've made lower lows here to there, right? We've taken out this low. we've exhausted off of that since taking out the low over here. So let me draw that line over there, right? So we took out the low, and what do? We exhausted. ICT concept, sell side liquidity, sell stops, right? So this is where, where the shorts take the profit. And this is probably where the algos are getting into their longs to, again, start pushing price up. So with that being said, looking at the weekly, right? And when we zoom in on the week, it makes total sense why we reject it, because we have a stacked order block and a fair value gap. Little small one, but we still do. So basically, I'm pretty sure, let me draw. I'm willing to bet, not pretty sure, I'm willing to bet. Yeah, see? So drawing the 50 fib between the fair value gap and the order block, look at what price did. It basically bounced off that 50 and then it rejected and came back in. So doesn't mean that, reversal or anything. It just means that bulls didn't have enough, juice, I guess. So we're looking for price to potentially continue pushing up, taking out the high of the two up and continue pushing. If we stay above this 50, if we hold above it, then we're probably going to take out the rest of this order block and then push up into the next fair value gap / order block, which is going to be up here as well. So, we definitely got some room to run. From a swing standpoint, this is beautiful, right? This is, I'm currently in, I alerted it late. I thought I could have sworn I had entered it in Tensho alerts and pressed enter. I guess I did not, and I apologize for that. But I entered into the 31 call for February 16th. Give it some time, and keeping it rather close to the strike, and watch it do its thing, right? So, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Lily's looking good, MRK is looking good as well too, and I know Fiverr is a relatively slow mover comparative to the others, but the whole sector is bullish. I think Pfizer's in the top 10 of the holdings, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah,
You say Lily is a full port play?
the what now?
You say Lily is full port?
No, I will never say that. I will never say that. But I do.
Hey, hold up. I gotta add something else, and I got this from Allie. This is not fully sell, but look at Adobe on a daily. I gotta give her props on this.
Oh, the shooter on the daily. Yeah, I kind of wish I had gotten it up here. That would have been a sick. Damn, that would have been a nice answer.
Look at that count. What kind of counter it is, bro?
As a shooter.
Man, look at that. That's a goddamn that what you call that shit?
What?
Hold up. Give me 1 second. Let me look at it.
It's an inverted hammer.
Yes.
I was just about to say, come on, Tensho. It's inverted hammer.
Oh,
Yeah,
because
Tensho.
it's bullet. I'm sorry, from a trap perspective, I'm looking at that shit as a shoot, because shooters don't have to be bearish, but I get what y'all saying. It's an inverted.
Yes. Now go look on your 4 hour.
Oh, say equal lows. Huh.
Yep. I think this bitch gonna reverse. I truly believe it.
Yeah.
Inverted hammers are bullish.
Yes.
I know, I get it, guys. I get it.
We had to make sure you was straight.
I'm not gonna play it. I'm not gonna play this regardless, but
No.
no, I get it. Inverted hammers, yes, I get it. But for me, like I said, all I saw was the candle and how it looked. I wasn't even paying attention to the color, to be honest with you. But you're right. I mean, the fact that we made equal lows, we stopped off at the same exact place both times. Yeah, you're right. We could catch that reversal. I wonder.
Yeah, it got that fucking look.
I wonder what And there's nothing over here. Oh, well, I guess what could have been resistance over here is now acting as support over there. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if it does reverse, absolutely. But I would say pay attention to what sector is Adobe in? What is it XLK, right?
Okay, yeah. You can see at the top it was consolidating though, so it's in its manipulation phase right now.
Yeah, and then also on the 4 hour,
And it's at a support.
yeah, it's on the 4 hour side of support. It rejected right out of this order, but oh, that's interesting. Look at XLK, look at you. Huh,
Yeah, Allie found this when she was eating her stuffed French toast this morning with vanilla ice cream.
huh. That is really interesting. Yo, okay. Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I could definitely see it. Um, but that's
Man,
perfect.
you take your time. Man, you take your time and write all that shit on there.
What are you talking about?
Fair value gap,
Oh,
breaker structure, and all that shit.
That's the indicator, right?
no, it's an indicator. It's an indicator.
I was about to say, boy, you a
But
detail
no,
oriented
before
motherfucker.
no, before I found the indicator, yes. Yes.
Man, I'm not lying.
That's what that's what made me
I don't
look
even
for the indicator.
I don't even write targets. I just put the line. I don't draw. I don't write all that shit on mine.
You a
Hey,
cowboy for sure.
everybody look, man, everybody does it differently, but like I don't know. I like knowing, even if I don't ultimately play the ticker. It's like you know how when you text me certain tickers and I tell you you're looking at it to this way, right? And then you're like, yeah, I'm looking at how you know because I did all of that. And you know, I've you know, I these things. I mean, it's like pieces to the puzzle for me. So like the more information that I get from it, I mean, even if I'm wrong, like I can still understand why it went the way that it went. So anyway, um, yeah, okay, XLK. Something to definitely pay attention. Oh shit, hold up, wait a second.
Hey, Tensho.
Yes.
This is Whitney. For some of the beginner folks in here, can you explain the aha moment you just had? Like you're looking at the chart, like, oh yeah, I see. Like, what are you seeing for you to be kind of more convinced on this now?
Oh, going back to Adobe. So one of the things that you have to pay attention to is when Sal told me to look at what was it, the 4 hour, right? So when you look at price was obviously dropping over here, right? And then we ended up with a bullish candle right here. So this could actually be the beginning of a potential. Let me just actually, where is it? Why are you not zooming to it? Oh,
And it's because the color changed, right? Because it was like a 2-2 reversal, and then like the color of the
it's not
candle.
a 2-2 reversal. It's because it's still a 2 down, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing I want to say from a strat
I mean,
perspective.
continuation.
Right. The direction is still the direction, right? But you're right. Yes, this candle is a bullish candle. So what it could potentially set up is a bullish order block, right? Once we see that the next candle, if the next candle goes 2-2 reversal up and displaces above this candle, then I believe that would categorize it as a 2-2, excuse me, as a bullish order block. But coming back to why what your question was, the equal lows, right? If we were entirely bearish all week, right? So, and as you can see, every single candle, well, obviously some of them, but the majority of each candle has been taking out the lows until we get to this one. Not to mention this last candle. This is where you got to pay attention. Let me clear all this shit out. This is where you got to pay attention to where the opens, the closes, the lows, the highs, etc. are. Where did this candle open up? Right here, right? How did this candle close above the open of the previous candle? So we closed, this candle closed at 564.36. Bulls pushed that back up, and so this candle closed above this one. So that it's not always a guarantee, but that does help, especially when we have equal lows. That does help to kind of support that maybe the bulls maybe didn't have enough juice on Friday, but that the bulls will potentially reverse and pivot, right? Pivot back to the upside. So not guarantees, but things, little things to look out for of like, hey, this potentially could reverse and continue heading up to the upside. The fact that we closed higher than the open of this previous candle here. So, could be a compilation of the shorts have taken their profit. We just barely took out this low here over here. Shorts took their profit, and now that sets up, like I was saying with PFE, that sets up for the bulls to start potentially going long. Now, another thing you could look at to help with that, probably should do it on a larger time frame, but I'm wondering if we take this, drag it all the way up to here. Oh, shit, my bad. Come on. Here we go. Okay. So, one of the things that you always have to pay attention to is where is price? Is price at equilibrium? Is it at premium, which is above the 0.5, or is it at a discount? So price returns to below the equilibrium. It is now at a discount. So, not always a guarantee, of course, but again, once you start putting the potential pieces of the puzzle together, yeah, this could potentially be a reversal back to the upside. And honestly, because it's Adobe, it could run. I would say
to a daily. You go to a quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so for one, it just closed that gap on the left side from November. It just bounced off that gap. And second, so think about this. They've been selling it for how many days? All of those two downs. So we have two down, 3 bar, two down, two down, two down, two down. All bearish candles. If you look on the 4 hour, it was all two downs on the 4 hour too. If you look on the 4 hour, that was the first green candle that they had. So that's like the buyers pretty much showed their hand that they're about to try to attempt to take it to the upside. So it's kind of like it's tipping his hand to you, like, hey, the buyers there were sellers present that entire run down, but now the buyers it just piqued the buyers' interest. So now it may not go up right away, but the buyers are starting to like what they see.
Right. Because, again, it's just think about it as simply as you possibly can, right? You're obviously not going to keep buying when something is expensive. So you're waiting until it goes on discount, right? So all this selling off is, again, just letting that happen. So you're waiting until it goes on discount, and then you get the reversal. I mean, red, and we took out lows over here as well too. So that is, sell side liquidity on the 4 hours. So, when you see that happen, usually, and again, it's not immediate, but yeah, usually after it takes out that sell side liquidity, making lower lows, then yeah, you're going to get that reversal to the upside. So kudos to Ali.
Yeah, and thank you both for diving more into that too.
No problem. That's what questions are for. Yeah, kudos to Ali.
Yeah, Ali, Ali, the Italian diva.
Ali is the Italian diva.
No.
Yeah. I'm not touching it.
Now you gotta change that. I need something a little better than that.
Alley cat.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna come back to the charts here.
South Philly, yo.
Actually, and then look, if you take this order block over here, and draw, again, ICT concept, but something I learned. Look at what does he call it? The mean, the 0.5 basically of the order block. Look at what price did. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sorry, what?
Oh, my fault. How do you explain an order block? I'm still kind of having trouble with it.
So in its simplest terms is an order block is going to be, so for example, a bullish order block is going to be like when you're seeing like this over here, right? You're seeing that the bullish orders, this is potentially, again, like Biker said, the bulls are showing their hand that they, piquing their interest that they might be ready to step up. What confirms that it's a bullish order block is that when you see price displace above it, and that's what confirms that it's a bullish order block. From a strat perspective, if you see like a PMG setup to the downside and then you end up with a hammer, actually any hammer really, and then price, heads up above that hammer, whether it be a Momo hammer or a hammer, that's also a bullish order block. Bearish order block is the same, but in reverse, right? Obviously, you're looking, excuse me, let me see if I can find you on, right here, right? So up here, right, we get obviously the downtrend to the bearish side, right? Then you end up with the 3. Now the 3 may look bullish, right? Because, obviously the color and then obviously the price closed higher than the open, but it's really a bearish order block. There's basically orders that were just setting up to the downside during this 3 bar. How do we know? Displacement to the downside. There's your bearish order block. This actually, it's a stacked order block and a fair value gap, but I'll get into that later as I learn more about ICT. But what I will do is, actually, I can get you the video. I'll get you the order block video where he explains that. I really shouldn't have, yeah. Because if you're trying to learn the strat, I want you to stay focused on the strat. I don't really want you trying to focus on ICT as well, too. Shit. Focus on learning the strat. We'll come back to the order blocks. All right, because I don't want you, because then if you throw that into your charts while trying to learn the strat at the same exact time.
That's gonna confuse you.
Yeah. So just I know I said ask questions, but please, if you have not fully mastered, felt comfortable with the strat, please don't try to start learning order blocks and fair value gaps. And that is my bad. I'm gonna take blame for that because I just realized, yeah, that's my bad. So I'll try my best not to talk about it as much. But because I really don't want y'all to try to learn 2 and 3 strategies at the same exact time. So that's my bad. Bad teacher. Okay. But yeah, there's Adobe coming back to PFE. If you want to use your compounding, I'm not going to alert it, but if you want to use your compounding portfolio for it, I don't think Pfizer is a bad way to go. It is. It's not going to be one of the fast Lily tickers now. I'm just keeping it a stack. But yeah, it's pretty directional once it does choose its direction. And I think we do have some pretty good room to the upside, especially if the rest of the sector stays bullish. Some levels of where you could potentially meet some resistance will probably be up in this area right here. So at 30.92 right into 31, again, that's the reason why I chose 31 call. And then obviously you have the fair value gap above. So anyway, are there any other, oh, damn, I didn't even realize. This is my first Zoom, and it's very important. Yeah, yes, we try to be informative, but also at the same time, sorry, because I may have given out too much information. But yeah, no, like this is what we're looking for. So if it turns out to be a good compounding play, I'm gonna go ahead and alert compounding. Hell, I may even alert Tensho as well too. And certain plays, I did apologize in the last Zoom with the beginners, and I did say that I had gotten into WBA. The reason why I did not alert it is simply because I was using a purely ICT concept on it, mitigation blocks. So we'll see how that goes. I want to get more comfortable with that before I start alerting mitigation block plays. But yeah, as far as the strat's concerned, XLV is looking bullish, and pay attention to what happens with Jets. Okay. If Jets ends up being bearish, then yeah, it should be. If Boeing ends up pulling the rest of Jets down, then it could turn out to be a pretty, for lack of a better word, easy setup to the downside for you guys to get in and make your money off of that. Again, do not look for the home run plays, right? If it turns into a home run play, cool, but don't look for it. Take your money 40, 50, 60%, regardless of whether it's a compounding alert or not. Take your money 30, 40, 50, especially on the high volatility tickers. Take your money. Not that I'm keeping track, but for the Zen trader, that is the book of the first month, right? So we've closed the first week. You should at least be, 2-3 chapters in for the Zen trader. All right. So make sure you're reading that. That's going to help with your trading psychology, especially when you have losses. Like if you pay attention to the chat on Friday, people were kind of freaking out when price was running up. You got to chill. Don't get too crazy. Don't start freaking out. When price was running up, because ultimately what happened, price eventually went right back down like what it was supposed to do. So anyway, that's all I have. If there are any other questions, if not, I'm gonna go ahead and say goodnight to y'all. And then the recording I will go ahead and put out once it's done converting. No problem, Iris. All right. No problem, Team Mike. All right, y'all have a good night. And yeah, we'll talk soon. On Monday, because of what happened with BA, let the market open a little bit before you start jumping into anything. All right, let the market open. Don't feel like you have to rush to get into anything. All right, because right now, we had a pretty down week, right? Things were running to the downside. So you may, again, catch some of the shorts just taking some of the profit, which may lead to a bullish Monday, regardless of the Boeing news. Sal said I'm glad you said Sal said. That way y'all don't come for me, because I definitely did not say that. But yeah, I do have my eyes on Lily. I do. And I think if we get enough, so my theory is this. Let me just go to it real quick. Why are you not talking?
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the thing with them Ferrari tickets like Lily, Moderna. I mean, well, Moderna not on there, but just some of them tickets I play. Man, just think about it. Your day can be over literally within 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes. That's it. Like, I shit you not. And that's why they under Ferrari tickers. I love tickers that move. Them slow tickers, they annoy the shit out of me. I mean, man, and the rest of your day, man, you go eat you some stuffed French toast, smoke your joint, drink your coffee on the porch, go mess with somebody old lady, stuff like that. Nah, seriously, look,
Don't mess with
them Ferrari
somebody
tickets,
old lady. Oh my
them
God,
Ferrari tickets pay fast, man. Like
bro.
Lily, like I shit you not, a lot of time, like when you day trading, man, you done quick.
This man took me back to my 20s, because I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. Them taking women. Anyway, that's gonna start a whole nother can of worms.
Think about it though. All women cheat.
Bro, look, I'm gonna say this. The majority of the women I was involved with were all married in my 20s, yo. So
Man, I don't believe in married. Them women be cheating their ass off.
hey, the way I just, it wasn't my business. That between you and your husband. If you're doing your thing, then that's between you and your husband, homie. Ain't got nothing to do with me. So and then honestly, it was easier, right? Because I did my own thing, and I didn't have to like have the responsibility of having a girlfriend. So anyway, like I said, in my 20s, I kind of stopped with that shit. So where was I? Yo, as far as Lily goes, right? So, um, you know, with the push up, what we could have is just a retracement. You know, this is um the fair value gap right here, right? So I'm pretty sure that's not the 50, but you know, looking at how we finished on Friday, right? We closed above where this candle closed, the previous candle closed. So I think, you know, even though it's a two down, can end up being two down bullish, which could lead to a 2-2 reversal back to the upside. And I believe there was some news that came out about Lily. Are we still record? Oh shit, yes we are. I didn't stop the recording. It's all good. Hey, I said in my 20s, so shit. Like I ain't got nothing to hide. Like all my like friends, ex-girl, they already knew. Like, and honestly, in my 20s, I wasn't really looking for relationships. So,
Man, I hope you ain't recording that part. I talk that stuff on there.
huh?
I hope you cut that part out.
Nah, ain't no editing. We good. If people get offended, then people get offended. But like I mean, you ain't spoke no lies. Men cheat, women
Hey,
cheat.
did you see that picture of how Patty LaBelle still got it going on in chat? In the main chat?
Nope, I did not.
Man, take a look at it, bro. Patty LaBelle, 90 years old, still got it going on.
Of course, because you know, like black people age very well. Like really, like real talk.
Alice, Sal don't snitch on himself. Sal got a deep thing against snitches.
Like I said, like I mean, again, you ain't spoke no lies, you know. And usually, in my experience, the women that get offended the most have probably done the cheating. So it is what it is. Don't come for me. That's just from my experience. You know, it's just hey, you know, because like I'm just saying, because if you like,
Alice say she just cheat once a week. That's it.
hey, and it's no judgment. It's no judgment. Real talk. Like I said, men cheat, women
Yeah, I
cheat.
got you.
There's no judgment. No judgment. Men cheat, women cheat for different reasons, but men cheat, women cheat. There ain't no judgment. You know, it is what it is. Like I think we the only like real monogamous creatures, but like we don't act like it. So it is what it is. All right, back to this. So with Lily, yeah, so we ended up with a hammer on Friday, bullish hammer. So we could go. Um, what I wanted to point out was the fact that we rejected right out of the fair value gap. We basically dipped into it, and then rejected out right out. If y'all give me a second, that is called. Hold up, one second, one second, one second, one second. I know what that's called. I just got to go back to my notes. That is called an entry drill for fair value gaps, right? Where basically price just dips into it and then immediately rejects right out of it. So uh, if you see, like, even if like let's say we open bearish, if you see price starts to wick again, and probably around the same area in Lily, go long. And again, like on a small, like obviously you need to check out smaller time frames, but if you see around like 610, right? If you're looking at, let's say, the 4 hour, the hour, or 65, and you see that price is wick there and it's pushing back up, and that, you know, once that candle, go long, because that is confirmation of the entry drill for off of fair value gaps, right? So obviously you would need other confirmations, right? Other confluences, you know, but you already have them, right? So anyway, just throwing that out there. And then yeah, I think with Lily, yeah, that's your next target. After it triggers to the upside, that's the next target, 636, which is excuse me, which is the reason why I was saying that we could potentially see 635, 640, or higher by the end of the week. All right. Anyway, that's it. Yeah, for those who listen to the recording later on, you'll find yourselves laughing at the end, I guess. All right, y'all. Have a good night. Deuces.